So that really covers those kind of domestic and local contexts. But then within the industrial context, it expands into engineering, manufacturing, construction, food, energy, agriculture. And it says including horticulture. Now, I'm not going to lie, this I completely skipped over, horticulture. So could you just expand on that a little bit for us as D&T teachers? What should we be thinking about with horticulture?
One of the things that I think has been lost is this whole idea of design outside what can be quite prescriptive narrow curriculum. So horticulture, growing food, that feeds into the food aspect of design and technology, growing food over a period of time, but also some of the structures. And the way it kind of worked for me was going to the Chelsea Flower Show, and I saw all these wonderful structures that design and technology students could build for their schools, for their communities. It's a manufacturing process. So you build the structures, you then enable whatever you're going to do, planting, enable vertical plant walls, etc. It's a design project. It's what design and technology is. So that term horticulture is a bit of a red herring in some ways, but you could, in a rural school, you could build your whole curriculum around horticultural outcomes, farming outcomes, etc., engineering. So it's there for a reason. And once again, it goes back to this whole idea of locality. So you may not be designing massive structures for, a rural environment, but what better than to design bug houses, bird boxes, small planters that people can have on there. If you've got like a community where lots of people live in very small houses or flats where they've got very little outside space, it's looking again at wants and needs, and to actually have people seeing the joy of growing something. There's so many ways you can do that, and again, rather than being negative about it, I think people should embrace it, think, well, this is great, what can we do?
There's an obvious link to food as well, to the food and nutrition curriculum, and I'll have to admit there was a project that I developed at one point as a teacher where we were going to breed locusts because it was seen as a really high protein food, and the idea was that the kids would build a habitat and breed these locusts, and at the end they would freeze them and then crush them up and make them into foods that you would eat. I can see Kim's face already. But the idea was there, but actually it's down to interpretation, right? The idea of a brief where you've got someone who lives in a flat that wants to grow their own fresh herbs and spices and etc. What a great concept, and what a great way of kind of bringing D&T into a locality, a purpose, a specific brief, a specific user. It can be interpreted in that way, right?
Yeah, and I think that you wouldn't just design a square box, would you? You'd say as part of the context and the brief, it must be self-watering. So what do you think about, how are you going to make sure that these plants don't die because people can't water them? So you put a number of constraints in there as well, and say this is what you need to consider when you're designing it. And that's the whole point of design. All this is a program of study, I hold it up here, is words. It's how you as a teacher and your pupils develop those words into tangible outcomes.